Our CBC News team continues to sift through the Pandora Papers, and it's taking some time because this is massive, nearly 12 million files revealing how many of the world's powerful and famous funnel money into offshore tax havens. There are about 500 Canadian names in the papers, one of which is former world champion figure skater Elvis Stojko. The leak reveals a multi-million-dollar insurance policy on his parents that eventually ended up in a Central American account. No suggestion of any wrongdoing here, but certainly a name that stands out from the papers. And Zach Dubinsky is part of our CBC News investigative team looking into the story, looking into the papers. Back with us again with the latest installment. What have you learned and our team learned about the Elvis Stojko offshore account?
Well, Elvis Stojko was, of course, a very successful figure skater, three-time world champion, and it turns out that that was quite financially lucrative. We learned from the leak that as of 2001, he had about $1.3 million in prize and endorsement money that he'd accumulated, and he actually decided to take out a life insurance policy on his parents at that point. It would have paid out a pretty sum of money if they had, passed away. He was looking at taking a payout of up to $6.5 million. And then we see in the leak something very curious happens. In 2007, he's living in Mexico, and a Montreal lawyer decides to set up what's called a trust for him. And they move the life insurance policy into that trust. And the trust was set up in Belize, of all places. And they called it the Quad Trust, kind of named it after Elvis's signature jump. So now, if his parents pass away, that $6 million or so, that's going to end up in an account in Belize. We also see in the records there was some pretty significant concerns around secrecy. The Montreal lawyer wrote to the people administering the trust in Belize and said, please keep all these records very confidential. Don't let anyone see anything except for Elvis himself.
And now that Elvis Stojko has seen the reports on this being made public, has he had any response, Zach?
Yeah, we got in touch with him, and he wrote us back. He sent us an email answering a number of questions we put to him. He said that, in fact, this was the first time that he was hearing that he had this account in Belize. He knew something had been done with his money, but he didn't know where it had gone. And he said he basically left everything up to this Montreal lawyer. He said he trusted him with all his finances, let him look after all the details, thought and felt that this was someone who was somewhat like a second father to him, and really didn't concern himself with any of the minor nitty-gritty of what was happening with his money. Now, we asked him, do you know why the money went to Belize in particular? What was the reasoning behind that? He didn't have an answer to that, but we spoke to a tax lawyer in Calgary named Jonathan Garbett, and he had some thoughts. Here's what he had to say.
If you move your assets outside of Canada and put in place the proper advised structures, is it you are going to be able to protect your assets from Canadian family law, from litigation against you in Canada that may or may not be deserved, or may or may not be legitimate, people just trying to shake the money tree. You can put yourself in a position to protect your assets, protect your family, and also not be charged to the nose for banking and other financial services.
So Stojko moved back to Canada in 2014. We asked him what happened to the money then, and he hasn't answered.
Zach, thank you.